Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Deku carried the villain's legacy part 1. If you guys enjoy this what if and want to see part 2, comment down below and let me know before I start. Please do support for more awesome content and leave a like, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel and also share this video with your friends and check out the description in my playlist. The author of the story lucarioacero from Wattpad. So let's start the video. Appearance: Izuku stands at 5 feet 10 inches and has green and black fluffy hair and emerald green eyes. He has diamond-shaped freckles under both of his eyes and he has a handsome face. He constantly wears a bartender outfit as he views it as comfy. His hero outfit consists of dark green combat pants with steel-toed boots and a tattered black cloak and a black shirt. His pants are dark green. Skills: incredible physique. Izuku has trained his body and has combined 30 strength-enhancing quirks that he evolved into one quirk. His strength is comparable to All Might in his prime. He also has 28 evolved speed-enhancing quirks that he combined into one, causing him to become almost as fast as light. He is highly flexible as well, and can easily bend his body in any way he sees fit. CQC Specialist: Izuku is skilled in fighting with all sorts of weapons, from knives, swords, brass knuckles, and even gauntlets. He is especially gifted and skilled in hand-to-hand combat as he has mastered plenty of martial arts. High IQ: Izuku is incredibly smart and gifted in many subjects. By the time he was 16, he gained a PhD in quirkology, electrical engineering, aerospace engineering, software and hardware engineering, physics, mathematics, biochemistry, chemistry, biology, chemical engineering, computer science, biomedical engineering, and economics. Amazing businessman: Izuku learned how to participate in the subtleties of business and running them. By the time he was 14, he ran a vast business network worth hundreds of billions of dollars, from technology production, to energy production, to waste removal, to hospitals, to dentistry, to even transportation companies. Good craftsman: he learned how to make a variety of things, from home things to even houses in general. He knows how to make almost anything. He is also highly skilled in inventing things. He learned this from 𝗕𝗏𝗧𝗏𝗧. Amazing cook: Izuku learned from his grandmother how to make over 130 recipes and more. He learned to grow foods from 𝗕𝗏𝗧𝗪𝗏𝗪. Quirks: All for All. This quirk is Izuku's main quirk. It allows him to take, give, copy, evolve, combine, erase, and disable quirks. One for All. Izuku copied this quirk first right before he left for America, and he evolved this quirk as well. With it, Izuku can increase his speed and strength infinitely stronger, and can use it to power up his other quirks. Additionally, Izuku could use the past user's quirks from before and evolve them. Additionally, this makes all of his quirks, whether they came from OFA or not, to become unable of being stolen or copied. All Tongue. This quirk Izuku copied and evolved from the second user of One for All 𝗕𝗏𝗧𝗏𝗧. Izuku evolved the quirk and improved it to be very useful. With this quirk, Izuku can understand any language on the planet and speak and write in that language perfectly, so long as he has heard that language or seen the written form of that language. Additionally, Izuku can communicate with any animal he comes into contact with and communicate across any type of animal, such as birds, sea creatures, underground animals, etc. FIzuku. This quirk belonged to the third user of One for All, 𝗵𝗃𝗧𝗏𝗪𝗏. Izuku evolved this quirk immensely, and it can work well in conjunction with One for All and other energy quirks. It allows Izuku to build and store up energy to use in small bursts or large bursts of speed and strength. Additionally, it doesn't cause any harm or damage to the body like with One for All. With just 20% of FIzuku being used with OFA can equal that of 100% of the power of Izuku's OFA on its own. Izuku uses this quirk to boost OFA even further beyond All Might's and his own natural strength. Danger Sense. This quirk came from 𝗕𝗏𝗁𝗃, the fourth user of One for All. Izuku evolved this quirk, and with it he has a 360 degrees constant awareness of any possible dangers or threats to him or innocents in a 2-mile radius. It also allows him to predict enemy attacks, enemy movements, and where to dodge or strike to remove the danger. Black 𝗕𝗏𝗧𝗏𝗪𝗏. Izuku gained this quirk from the fifth user of One for All, 𝗕𝗏𝗍𝗪𝗀. With this quirk, Izuku can create an almost limitless number of black whips that can attach to almost any solid surface to use to swing around with. Izuku uses this in combat to grab hold of things and swing them around at high speed to damage opponents. Additionally, since Izuku evolved it, the quirk no longer activated by emotion and works in harmony with Izuku. Smokescreen. This quirk Izuku gained from N, the sixth user of One for All. With this quirk, Izuku can create a massive cloud of smoke that Izuku can use to erase his presence entirely. With it, Izuku uses this in combat to hide his body before he pops out to ambush his opponents. Since he evolved this quirk, it completely erases his sight, odor, and erases his vibrations and the sounds he makes. It also allows him to control how long the smokescreen stays and how big it can get. Fly. This quirk used to be Float, which belonged to Nana Shimura, the seventh user of One for All and Izuku's grandmother. Since Izuku evolved this quirk, Izuku can fly, float, levitate, and stay in midair in any position he wants. He can also carry any amount of weight on him so long as it doesn't exceed 200,000 tons. Divine Flame. Izuku copied several flame quirks and evolved them before combining them into one quirk. The quirk allowed him to create and manipulate any type of fire he can think of, usually a pitch-black flame that he can make hotter than the sun and even burn other flames. Additionally, he can shape the flames into anything he wants. Heavenly Ice. Izuku copied 6 ice quirks and he evolved them before combining them into one. The quirk allows him to make and manipulate ice to whatever degree he sees fit, usually a purplish-pink ice that can freeze just about anything. Additionally, he can shape the ice into whatever he sees fit. Maelstrom. Izuku copied 5 lightning quirks and evolved them before he combined them into one quirk. Izuku can create and manipulate any type of electrical charge at any voltage or amp and use it in any way he sees fit. Tornado. Izuku copied 7 wind quirks and evolved all of them before combining them into one. Izuku can create and control any type of air from oxygen or carbon dioxide, and he can manipulate it in any way he sees fit, from controlling its speed, to controlling the rate it moves, to controlling its force and density, everything. He also uses this quirk to increase his flying speed. Hyper Regeneration. Izuku has copied 37 regeneration quirks and has evolved all of them before he combined them all into one quirk. Izuku can heal from any injury possible and heal in milliseconds. He can heal from being decapitated and lost limbs with no problem whatsoever. Armament. Izuku copied and upgraded 4 quirks that improve the body's or object's durability before he combined them into one quirk. With this quirk, Izuku can create a sheen of seemingly metal around any part of his body or entire body and also surround any weapon or object he might be holding. This causes his body or object to become harder than titanium. Increased senses. Izuku copied and evolved 10 quirks that improved each of the 5 senses before he evolved them and combined them all into one. His eyesight can see things clearly up to 10 miles away, he can hear clearly without taking any hearing damage up to 5 miles away, he can smell things that smell odorless, he can feel vibrations in the ground, air, and water up to 3 miles away, and he can taste even the most faintest of tastes. Energy manipulation. Izuku copied 8 energy quirks and evolved them before combining them into one. Izuku can create and manipulate any energy so long as it's pure energy and fire it in any way he can see fit. He can mostly use this to create shockwaves and other such forces, but he can also use this in conjunction with his other quirks to make them stronger. Appearance change. Izuku copied and evolved a spy's dream quirk. He can change his outfit and body appearance instantly. He used this quirk to start his business without any trouble at all as 𝗕𝗏𝗵𝗃𝗲. Additionally, this quirk allows him to create whatever clothes he wants so long as he can picture it in his head, and take off the clothes before making another one. Restoration. A quirk that Izuku was allowed to copy from an old lady who he stopped from being hit by a car. Izuku can restore any non-living object to what it was before and essentially not have to replace any furniture or object. Weapon creation. Izuku took this quirk from a villain before he evolved it to suit his needs. He can create any type of weapon that he can think of, from any type of gun, any type of sword, any type of staff, any weapon that was created in the entire world, he can create as well. Though he mostly uses this to create knives, swords, and some pistols. Pocket Dimension. A quirk he was allowed to copy and improve. Its original owner allowed Izuku to copy it because Izuku saved his grandmother. Izuku with this quirk can store an unlimited amount of non-living things inside this dimension, but it can only store at most 10 living things inside of it. Izuku mostly uses this quirk to store all the weapons he's made or to store food or clothes or any other type of stuff that he wants to store. Additionally, the pocket dimension is without the rules of time and place. As such, he can put an avocado in there and let it stay there for an entire year, and if he puts it into the real world, then it will be as if it hasn't aged even a second. Resistance. Izuku copied and evolved 53 quirks that improved the body's durability and combined them all into one. This quirk gives Izuku a natural resistance against all forms of toxins, any temperature, improves his bones and blood vessels' durability, makes it to where his muscles won't deteriorate under any circumstances, and makes his body able to withstand hundreds of thousands of newtons of force. He can also resist physic and telekinetic powers and forces. Teleportation. Izuku copied this quirk from a hero in America with the hero's permission, and he evolved it as well. With this quirk, Izuku can attach an invisible marking to any place that he has made physical contact with, and teleport exactly where that mark whenever he wants. Additionally, he can do so an infinite number of times in rapid succession without getting tired at all. Fighting Spirit. Izuku can see the fighting skills and power of anybody that he sees. He can see that the fighting power and skill as a large flame that varies in color from person to person. The larger the flame, the more fighting power and potential that person has, the more fluctuating it is, or the sharper the flame looks, the more skill and practice in fighting that person has. Izuku's fighting spirit is roughly the size of a medium-sized house and is fluctuating constantly as a sharp dark green flame. Additionally, Izuku can project this fighting spirit out onto people in the surrounding area and cause them to feel his power and his strength at the max, which causes them to be intimidated or rethink fighting him. Likes. His clothes, his quirks, being a hero, helping people, saving people, his friends, giving quirks to quirkless people, fighting, training, 𝗕𝗫𝗫, Mirio, Tamaki, the staff and pro-heroes of UA with the exception of All Might and Green Esper, Rei, Tuya, Fuyumi, and Natsuo Todoroki because they all helped treat his wounds and are the closest things he has to actual family and playing chess. Dislikes. The Yagi family or Izumi, Inko, and Toshinori Yagi, the Bakugou family or Katsuki, Katsumi, Masaru, and Mitsuki Bakugou, Enji, Shoto and Shoka Todoroki, Nito Minoma, Minoru Mineta, villains, Stain, League of Villains, his biological father all for one, perverts, rapists, and those who bully or discriminate against the quirkless. Dreams. Become the #1 hero, bring his father to justice, completely forget about his past, and to marry 𝗕𝗫𝗫. Muzudafu, Japan, 2411. Yagi household sitting in the attic of the house of a very famous family was Izuku Yagi. Izuku was 10 years old and had dark green hair and emerald green eyes. He had a cute and chubby face with freckles in the shape of diamonds on both cheeks. He wore a plain white shirt and black shorts with red shoes. Noticeably though, the 10-year-old had quite a few scars and burn marks all along his skin and patches of dark purple and rashes. You may be wondering why a 10-year-old boy has so many injuries. In order to answer that, you'd have to see the boy's past. Years ago, he and his sister, Izumi Midoriya, who had green hair like him but with green eyes, both went to the doctor's office to find out their quirk. Quirks have been around for roughly 250 years, and they all began with a baby that was born glowing in Qingqing City in China. Quirks have been around for roughly 250 years, and they all began with a baby that was born glowing in Qingqing City in China. In just 2 years, roughly 15% of the population of the world had what was called a quirk. This caused the entire world to be plunged into an age of darkness and chaos. And in that chaos arose a new profession, heroism. Every kid wanted to be a hero, and that included Izuku and Izumi. When they arrived at the doctor's office, they waited patiently for their quirks to be revealed. Izumi was shown to have a very nice psychokinesis quirk that if trained could be very useful as a hero. Izuku on the other hand was quirkless. And ever since that day, his parents have begun to slowly forget about him. It first started with Izumi getting to choose dinner of the show, then they forgot about his meals, and then they forgot the fact that HR needed to be driven to school. Now, his parents don't even remember him even in the slightest. Just yesterday, his mother heard from another mother about her son and she replied with, "I've always wanted a son." His sister did remember him though, but only because he still wished to be a hero. When he and his sister were 3, they both promised each other with their group of friends that they'd all become heroes together. Izuku still wanted to be a hero though, even though he was quirkless, which caused Izumi for some reason to turn him into a test dummy for her quirk to make him say he won't become a hero. Soon enough, all of his friends, which included Shoka Todoroki, who was always his crush, Shoto Todoroki, who he thought was his friend, Katsuki Bakugou, who he always called Kacchan, and Katsumi Bakugou, who he always called Kacchan, all turned on him. Everyone at school either hated or bullied him, and he didn't have a single friend in the entire world. This caused him to completely shut off from the world. He began writing journals on how to become a hero by analyzing heroes and everything about them, from their quirks, to their training, to even their applications of their quirk. Izuku worked out too. He did lots of push-ups, lots of sit-ups, lots of running and endurance training, and even lifted weights whenever he could. He developed a personality that just focused on himself and his goal. Unfortunately, even after he said to his sister and his former friends that he wouldn't become a hero, and that he'd given up, they still used their quirks on him and didn't stop bullying him. Then it just got even worse. Yesterday, after an hour of nothing but being beat up by his former friends, he began wobbling home. He snuck into the basement, which was the room he was given after he was kicked out of his original room by his sister. He got into the basement and began trying to patch up his wounds when he started getting hungry. So he tried to sneak up the staircase to the kitchen to try and make some food to eat. When he arrived to the kitchen, however, his father and mother were there in the living room talking with his sister and former friends, so Izuku decided to eavesdrop. "Izumi, Katsuki, Katsumi, Shoto, Shoka, there is something I need to tell all of you," his father, Toshinori Yagi, said. He was tall, almost 6 feet 10 inches, with blonde hair that hung down the sides of his face, with thick blonde eyebrows and piercing blue eyes. He wore a black business suit with black shoes. Picture him with the body above and the hairstyle and clothes below. Picture him with the body above and the hairstyle and clothes below. "What is it, uncle?" Katsuki asked with a smirk. "What is it, uncle?" Katsuki asked with a smirk. "I've been keeping something from all of you. You see, I'm actually a hero. But not just any hero, you see I am," his father said as he stood up and put the bangs of hair by the sides of his face upward and took off his suit to reveal a superhero costume that everyone knew. "Now it's just the picture above. I am the hero of peace, all might," he yelled with enthusiasm as Izuku and his former friends all gasped in shock. "You see, your father has a lot of enemies, so we knew that we'd have to tell you the truth about him when you all were responsible enough to keep it a secret. Otherwise, you'd all say that you were close to heroes and become targets. Izumi, your dad isn't the only hero in the family," Izuku and Izumi's mother, Inko Yagi, said. She had dark green hair and emerald green eyes, and she wore a simple housewife outfit. But then she got out of her outfit and revealed a hero suit. Before, after, I am the psychic hero, Green Tornado. And we also have one more secret to give you, Izumi, Inko said as Izuku cried at the fact that his parents were the heroes that inspired him to become a hero in the first place. His mother was number 4 in the current polls, and his father was the current number 1 hero. He couldn't believe it. But what was this secret? "You see, Izumi, my quirk is a lot different from any other quirk in the world. My quirk is one for all, and it was passed on to me by your grandmother, Nana Shimura. You see, I am the 8th user of this great power, and I wish you to become my successor and become the 9th user of One for All. You see, I was originally quirkless, but your grandmother chose me to hold OFA and become her successor in order to fight evil. Because of your quirk and your qualities that make you a hero, I wish for you to take One for All." All Might explained while Izuku's heart broke beyond compare. His father was quirkless just like him, so why did he neglect him? He must have felt the exact same pain as him, so why does he ignore him? Did Izuku do something wrong? Was it him? He wanted to be a hero too. Why couldn't he choose him to be his successor? He wanted nothing more than to be a hero and help people. Wasn't that enough? Hey, why not give it to your son instead though? Shoto asked with confusion. You and Katsuki already have incredible quirks. You both will be able to become top heroes without 𝗬𝗧𝗋𝗍. All Might answered as Izuku's heart broke even more. I accept Dad. I'll become the strongest hero in the world. Izumi shouted as Izuku's hope shattered even further. After that, everything became a blur. He remembered going to the basement to sleep, but honestly he couldn't sleep. His own father, who was supposed to help his children accomplish their dreams no matter what, favored his daughter simply because she was born with a quirk. He knew exactly the pain that Izuku went through, yet he did absolutely nothing to help him. Not only that, that was the least concerning thing. He didn't even consider him as his son, he instead considered the very same people that bullied, abused, and beat him as his sons. After he woke up from his restless night, he noticed that his sister was at school and his parents were probably busy with work. So, Izuku did the only thing he could think of. Run away. He couldn't stand being in a place that had the power to help him, but didn't. He couldn't stand being in a place where his very own flesh and BLD had forgot about him. He didn't consider any of them family now, not his sister, not his mother, nor his father. Izuku needed to escape from this hellhole. So, he had to get certain things ready in order to escape. He packed a bag with a week's worth of food, water, and packed 5 pairs of clothes. He went to the attic so he could get some flashlights to keep moving in the nighttime, until he stumbled across something, which brings us to now. Izuku was in the attic looking at a picture that he had never seen before. In it was his mother, and a man whom he had not once seen. He had black hair with the freckles he had in the same place, he wore a business suit and had red eyes. Izuku suddenly felt it all click. Toshinori wasn't his BLD father, he was his stepfather. That's why he neglected him. He wasn't his actual son. Izuku got angry and picked up the picture before he threw it at a shelf that held many books and caused one to fall out. It was labeled Diary of Heihachi Midoriya. Izuku opened it and saw that the first page held a secret page, so he peeled it off and saw the actual hidden page. On it he read the page. My name is Hisashi Shigaraki. I am all for one, a former villain that can take and give quirks. This journal is to keep record of my memories in case my memories get stolen or lost. My quirk is all for one, where I can take, use, and give an unlimited number of quirks. I used to a villain during the dawn of quirks, 230 years ago to just 3 years ago. My brother whom I thought was quirkless actually had a transferable quirk, so when I gave him an emitter quirk that could store energy, it gave 𝗵𝗃𝗍𝗄 to the opposite of my quirk, One for All. After fighting against and killing the past 7 users of One for All, I have decided that I should try to be a normal civilian. Society is starting to grow into my image and is starting to accept quirks fully and welcome even mutant quirks. I have just married the only girl whom I've ever loved, Inko Shimura, who is actually the daughter of Nana Shimura, who was the previous user of 𝗬𝗧𝗋𝗍. But I didn't care. Anyway, I've been married to her for 2 years, and I can sense that I've gotten her 𝗕𝗲𝗏𝗏 with my child. It is a boy from what I can tell. Unfortunately, the 8th user of 𝗬𝗧𝗋, All Might, is apparently good friends with Inko. So, I've decided that I need to abandon her and my child. The only regret that I have in my life is that I didn't get to be there for my son and wife. I hope both of them can be happy, but if I kill All Might, then Inko will never forgive me, and both her and my child will be condemned to a life of misery and will likely be held responsible for my crimes. If my son is reading this, then know this, I only left you so I could give you a better life. If you choose to become a hero, then I'll trust you to bring me to justice. Know that I leave everything to you. By the end of the page, Izuku was crying in sadness. This was why he couldn't have a happy life. Because his father was a villain. He couldn't stand it at all. All he wanted was to become a hero and save people, and he couldn't even do that all because of the actions of people who didn't even play a part in his life. It's not fair at all. After snapping out of his thoughts when he heard the front door of the house open, Izuku brought his backpack and himself all the way down to the basement. He'd leave after he ate breakfast. So he snuck into the pantry and snuck in his pocket some snacks and some packets of dry cereal to eat. He walked out of the pantry into the kitchen and saw his All Might staring at him. Excuse me, kid, but do I know you? And what are you doing in my house? All Might asked, which now brought nothing but anger to Izuku's mind. No, you don't, I'll just leave. Sorry. Izuku said as he brushed shoulders with All Might and walked out the front door, leaving a confused All Might. Unknowingly to All Might though, Izuku had awakened his quirk for the first time ever, one far more powerful than OFA or AFO. Izuku walked around the house and back into the basement to get ready. He ate the snacks to give himself some energy before he picked up his backpack and exited the house, for the very last time. Izuku then took off sprinting down the street and into an alleyway to get away from as many people as possible. He just didn't stop running, so much so that he began to tire down, but he just didn't want to stop. Suddenly, something in Izuku's body clicked and green lightning circled through his body as he began to run even faster and even not tire at all. He stopped as quick as he could and focused on his now awakened power. Is this my quirk? Izuku asked as he slowly started to lose consciousness and felt himself seemingly pulled into his mind. Inside One for All, Izuku slowly started to open his eyes, or at least, he thought so, and was met with something he didn't expect. An infinitely expanding dark starry sky, with moving stars of all colors. There, in front of though, were 7 figured. Ignore All Might's flame, ignore All Might's flame. Hello there, my grand baby. The woman with black hair and black eyes in front of him said with a smile and crying tears. Izuku stared at her and the other people before becoming very confused and very scared. You're Nana Shimura. But wait a second, my father killed you. Did I die too? He said as he slowly started panicking. No, you didn't die. I'm Yoichi Shigaraki, your uncle and the first user of OFA. We are the past users of One for All. We've been watching you intently, and we deem you the true successor and inheritor of One for All. Izuku's now known uncle, Yoichi said, who had white hair and green eyes and a kind smile. What? But doesn't OFA need the current user to choose who takes it? Izuku asked, how slowly being filled with hope. No, it takes all previous users of OFA to choose a successor. You see, OFA evolved when your uncle took it. Instead of storing just energy, it can now store souls and spirits, along with quirks. Because of this, every user of OFA has all been deemed worthy of holding OFA. The only problem though, is that your 𝗵𝗃𝗲𝗏 of a stepfather has had OFA for 30 years, and when he gained OFA, we all approved of him. Unfortunately, by the time that he began neglecting you, it was too late to take it away from him. My name is 𝗬𝗲𝗄𝗏. I'm the 5th user of OFA. A man who was tall and bald with dull blue eyes elaborated to Izuku. We as the holders of OFA do not see Izumi Yagi as fit to become the next wielder of OFA. She is far too arrogant and self-serving. Not to mention, she behaves like a villain when she bullied you. I'm N, the 6th user of OFA by the way. A man with short black hair with black narrow eyes said. Izuku, you are the only worthy successor of OFA, we all agree. Even with your past, you still wish deep in your core to just try and help people. Because of that, we urge you to become the next wielder of OFA. I am Hinagarizawa, the 2nd wielder of OFA. A girl with black hair and red eyes said. Because of your now awakened quirk, along with OFA, and all of our quirks, we can entrust you to become a hero and save people in our stead. I am Mikatsu Animaru, the 3rd wielder of OFA, and yes, you did just awaken your true quirk, when you brushed shoulders with your 𝗵𝗃𝗲𝗏 of a stepfather. A man with purple hair and yellow eyes said. You see, since OFA has evolved since going into you, you will be able to access and use all of our quirks to the max. Additionally, we can all lend you advice, training, and our skills at any time in order to help you and make you truly strong. You will learn a lot from all of us, and you can accomplish your dream of becoming a hero. So do you accept? Oh, I'm 𝗧𝗵𝗲𝗄𝗏, the 4th user of OFA. A man with white hair and orange eyes said. He also had 2 scars that stretched across the left side of his face, going from his forehead to past his lips. Wait a second, Mikatsu, you said that I had an original quirk. What do you mean by that? Do I have another quirk aside from 𝗬𝗧𝗏? Izuku asked in shock and confusion. Izuku, you do have a quirk, the one that you were born with. Apparently, it was laying dormant inside of you waiting for a strong emotion to summon it by force. One thing we can all thank that 𝗵𝘃𝗲 I used to call son for, is that because of him not recognizing you as his son, along with crushing your dream, the emotions you experienced because of it awakened your true quirk, one that is more powerful than 𝗬𝗏 and 𝗬𝗏𝗏. Nana explained. Wait, what is my quirk then? And exactly how powerful is it? Izuku asked in shock. Your quirk is called All for All, and with it, you can take, use, give, disable, combine, evolve, destroy, and copy quirks. With this quirk and all of ours plus one for all, you can become a hero. His uncle told him with a smile as Izuku kneeled on the ground and started breaking down in a fit of tears and sobs. He could become a hero, but not just any hero, the strongest hero ever. So then, where do you all think I should run away to? I mostly just ran away to get out of that house. At that moment I gave up on being a hero though, and if you all are going to help me, then I need a place to go to in order to train and live. Do you guys have any ideas on where I should go? Izuku asked while sitting down in front of all the users of 𝗬𝗏𝗏. The only place that I can recommend would be America. There are plenty of places that you could use to practice your quirks without being caught or spied on. In my vacation to Tennessee, I did build a small forest house there. And there is plenty of space and equipment that can be used to train you well. Sure, you may have to clean it up a bit, since it hasn't been used in roughly 15 years, but it should suit you for a while. Nana Shimura said as she remembered her vacation home she built when she was in Tennessee. Yeah, but we should also make plans on trying to keep him educated. Right now you are at grade 5, but you've studied material up to grade 8, so for right now, apply for a high school and get as high of a score as you can. Try and speed through the top classes of high school as fast as you can possibly do so online. Once you do that, apply for as many scholarships as you possibly can to get as much of a free tuition as possible. En told Izuku while remembering to try and get Izuku an education. Not only that though, Izuku obviously will eventually have to buy another property. Eventually, someone will find where he lives and that property could be bought since he would technically be occupying it and squatting in it. Although I am against it, he might need to create a new identity as a businessman and have to buy properties. Not only that, but Izuku will have to find a quirk that can change appearances, which will be hard. 𝗧𝗵𝗃𝗁 stated. I heard that America is #1 in quirk diversity, so I should be able to find a quirk like that or similar, then I could just evolve it and get it to my needs. Additionally, I should probably learn how to make things like furniture, chairs, gardens, etc., so can any of you help me with that? Izuku asked. Before I was a hero, I ran my father's store. We fixed and made a lot of things, from furniture, to walls, ceilings, tiles, roofs, silverware, glass, and even mechanical parts. I'll teach you all that I know and then some. Hinagara Aizawa offered to him while Izuku nodded in thanks. I grew a lot of things in my garden, and I know how to do all types of agricultural projects, so I'll teach you it. Daigoro Banjo said. We should also discuss the obvious. How are we going to get to America? Yuchi asked as he wanted Izuku to leave this hellhole as fast as possible. Easy, we catch a ride on a shipment boat. With our skills and Izuku being sneaky, we should be able to sneak aboard a shipment container and easily make our way to America. Then we take some food and water and survive off of that. Mikatsu Anemoru offered. Actually, it would be better to hide out in an airplane instead. The security around luggage is actually very low nowadays. He should be able to sneak right in before being able to sneak right out. Nana said as Izuku agreed with her about that. So Izuku decided that he needed to make it to the airport and find a flight towards America. Izuku then focused on exiting 𝗬𝗏𝗏's mindscape before he felt his consciousness return to normal. Izuku woke up in an alleyway with everything still on him. Grinning at the fact that he had a quirk now, Izuku activated 𝗬𝗏𝗏 before he sped off. He tried activating the previous user's quirks and managed to figure out how to evolve quirks. He had to focus with all for all on the quirk in question before feeding it power to grow and expand. Izuku evolved 𝗬𝗧𝗋 and managed to make the energy multiply every day and store an infinite amount of energy while increasing how he could control it. He could use it power up his body's senses, his reaction time, and even power up other quirks. He did the exact same with the previous user's quirks and managed to activate each of them. Danger Sense allowed him to sense any threat to his life or other people's lives in a 2-mile radius. Black 𝗕𝗏𝗄𝗶 was controlled by his thoughts and were stronger, and he could summon a lot more than 𝗕𝗫𝗁. Float became fly because he could fly, levitate, and float in any position, though he wondered how fast he could truly fly. Smokescreen now covered his presence, like his sound, smell, sight obviously, and vibrations. All tongue evolved to now be able to understand and communicate with animals. As well, and FIzuku became able to store more energy and be used to power up his quirks beyond their normal limit. Izuku loved the quirks and thanked the previous users adamantly. He used Fly and Smokescreen to fly into the sky and appear as a cloud before he found the airport. After flying down safely in an alleyway, Izuku decided that he needed to find his way to the cargo hold. He found a flight that was headed to North Carolina, so he found his way to that exact airplane. Izuku went into the cargo loading section and managed to sneak his way past all the workers and into the luggage hold. He put himself in between some luggage and just hoped that he could get to Carolina without any problems. After he stayed sitting for a while, he felt the plane begin to move, and soon he felt that the plane had taken off. Deciding to kill time, Izuku decided to train with his new quirks. Izuku practiced with 𝗬𝗧𝗋, Black 𝗕𝗏𝗄𝗶, and FIzuku. Fly and Smokescreen couldn't be practiced in an enclosed space unless he was trying to levitate or float, but Smokescreen could cause attention to be on him, and all tongue didn't need any training at all. Izuku practiced summoning bands stretching as many energy tendrils as he possibly could. He managed to summon 15 and stretch them around 15 feet. Izuku practiced 𝗬𝗧𝗋 and learned from the past users how to use it. So Izuku spread 𝗬𝗧𝗋 all throughout his body and checked his percentage, which was 3%. Izuku smiled before he used FIzuku to amplify it to its max, and managed to equal what the past users called 15%. After he trained his quirks for a full 2 hours, he took a lunch break and ate some food to regain stamina and energy. Izuku then did a physical workout while the past users all instructed him on the different exercises he had to do. Izuku completed the workout while only slightly exhausted. Izuku managed to impress the past users, which made him smile in happiness. For the first time in 6 years, he had people who he could call friends. After more training and practice, Izuku got tired and finally fell asleep from fatigue. About 8 hours of sleep, Izuku finally woke up with a startle as he noticed that the plane seemed to be landing. Quickly putting all the luggage back to what it was before, Izuku hid again. After he felt the plane land, Izuku waited in anticipation with bated breath on how to avoid the workers. Izuku finally heard the luggage door open after 30 minutes. He quickly ran past the workers after they all turned their backs. When he did that, he managed to run past all the other distracted workers and made his way to the main airport lobby. Okay then, now all I need to do is make it to Tennessee. I should be able to fly there with just my quirk alone though. If not, I can always just take stops. Izuku said as the past users of 𝗬𝗧𝗋 all agreed with him. Izuku got into an alleyway before he activated Fly, 𝗬𝗧𝗋, and FIzuku before he used all 3 to fly off as fast as he possibly could, which was about 40 miles per hour. After stopping a few times and resting a bit, by around 7 a.m., he was in Tennessee. Okay, now I just need to find your vacation house. Grandma, do you know where to go? Izuku asked as he started to eat breakfast to refuel some energy, as using all 3 quirks for a while did drain him. Yes, go to the Smoky Mountains and go to the tallest mountain, then go down the hill without a clear dirt path, and if you walk for a few 30 minutes, or fly for around 10, then you should find it. Nana said as Izuku followed her advice before flying to the Smoky Mountains and arriving at the tallest one. He found the dirt path and decided to walk instead of fly as he could miss it if he did. After following Nana's instructions, he finally found it. It was a small house with a patio, a working grill that ran on wood, a working AC that ran on a few solar panels, a lot of lights that were also connected. It had 2 beds, a fridge that was too old and needed to be replaced, a semi-working shower, as he needed to clean the pipes, and finally a good roof, though there was a small leak that he could fix. Without the guitar sign and imagine solar panels on the roof. Without the guitar sign and imagine solar panels on the roof. Few 20 feet away from the house was soil perfect for gardening, and to the right of that was a clear open space perfect for training. Under one of the trees was a slightly rusty set of benches for squatting and bench pressing. To the right of that there was also a nice and easy punching dummy. Izuku got to work, and with directions from Daigoro, he managed to easily make a nice amount of land to use for farming. He also took advice from Hanagra about fixing the roof, so Izuku took a bunch of grass and with a lot of time and tedious effort, managed to make a good fix for the roof that was at least waterproof. And also reminded him that he needed to get internet and a computer in order to get an education, and was reminded by 𝗕𝗁𝗄𝗧 to get a disguise quirk. Izuku sighed at all the problems before nodding to himself. After he heard of a town near the Smoky Mountains, Nana said it was called 𝗕𝗏𝗏𝗏, Izuku took off to there to find a computer and Wi-Fi device. After remembering exactly where the house was, Izuku took off with flight to go to 𝗕𝗏𝗏𝗏. He flew through the trees and managed to land without getting spotted. He saw a few heroes patrolling around trying to run patrols, so Izuku needed to look as least suspicious as possible. Izuku first went to an electronics store and saw the prices on the computers. All of them were above $150 and he didn't have that money. He also looked for a Wi-Fi router and saw that they were around $130. Sighing, Izuku thought to himself about how he could get money fast enough. He thought about working, but no store in here would hire him without trying to find his background until he had a disguising quirk. Walking away from the store, he looked out and saw a few teenagers inside of an alleyway right next to the store talking. So, Izuku snuck up and tried to eavesdrop on them. "So, you managed to sneak out a couple computers, right? I ain't paying for that type of stuff, my dad would kill me." One teen asked. "With my quirk, it was no problem. The only problem was getting the clothes for the employee. My disguise quirk is perfect for this." One teen answered. With his mind made up, Izuku got a smirk before he gained an innocent look on his face before he walked into the alleyway while making the teens look at him. Excuse me, could any of you tell me where to get to the national park? I tried asking other people, but they all didn't pay attention to me." Izuku asked while stuttering. The teens flinched at first but calmed down when they saw he didn't hear them. "Sure kid, here, let me take you there," the teen with the disguise quirk said as he took Izuku's hand and led him to the street and gave him directions. After they parted ways, Izuku smirked and smiled in amazement. He managed to copy the quirk and evolve it. Quickly going to a restroom, Izuku tried to use it and managed to learn about his new quirk. He could change his body fully and imitate mutants and transformation-type quirks, though he wouldn't have any of their properties though, he'd just look like them. Izuku also learned that, strangely enough, he could create clothes with it, which did help him greatly, as it meant he wouldn't have to shop for clothes. He named it Appearance Change. Izuku smiled before he thought back to how he could make money when it hit him. He'd have to make money by pretending to be someone else. Quickly consulting with the past users of OFA, he came up with a plan on how to create a new identity. From the users, they all suggested that he go to the 𝗕𝗏𝗏𝗏 town hall and create a new identity. Izuku thanked them before he put to work with creating his new persona. Izuku thought to himself on how he should make his persona, and decided to base it off of his father but with orange hair and purple eyes, as he needed there to be as little of a connection between his persona and him as possible. He decided to use the name 𝗕𝗁𝗄𝗓𝗄𝗏. Quickly going to the town hall, he managed to disguise himself as a guard and snuck in before find the main office. There he could actually create 𝗕𝗁𝗄𝗓𝗵𝗆. After searching for 20 minutes, he managed to find the main office and saw that luckily there weren't any guards there. Izuku went inside and filled in all the required information. He said that 𝗕𝗁𝗄𝗓𝗵𝗆 was born in Tokyo, Japan and moved to South Carolina when he was 13. Then, he moved to Tennessee when he was 24 years old. He also filled out the right credit information and made a social security number, and created a phone number. After all of that was settled, now he just needed to get a loan from a bank, buy the computer and router, make a business, pay back the loan, and get an education. Making his way out of the town hall, Izuku managed to make his way back to the forest house and decided to start the garden first. He found some fruits that were natural in the mountain and brought them to the house and ate some of them before he planted the seeds to grow them. By the time he got finished, he noticed that he never really got around to fixing the house. He first disguised himself in his 𝗕𝗁𝗢𝗵𝗃 persona and went to the bank before he took out a loan of $10,000. Izuku needed to start a store and then advertise it. He found an open lot in a clean part of Tennessee and bought it from the number assigned to it for $500. After he bought it, he decided that he needed to sell products, so he went back to the same electronics store he was at before and asked an employee for the number of the owner. After he called the owner, he truly handled himself like a businessman and bought the store for $3,000. So all he had to do was set up a working store system to pay his now employees and he'll be fine. He decided that the first step would be to add another addition to the store, like a fixing station where employees could fix non-working products. Izuku explained this idea to his now employees and managed to create one and instructed the employees on how to fix basic problems. He also bought a router and computer before he left the store to keep for itself. After he made a second trip to his house, he managed to hook up the Wi-Fi and connect fairly enough and set up his computer. Thinking it was enough, he finally passed out after a long day. Tennessee, Smoky Mountains, 7:30 a.m., 24/17. Outside the forest house training in the practice field was the now named Izuku Shimura. Izuku now stood at the height of 5 feet 10 inches and still had that fluffy black and green hair with emerald green eyes. His body had highly condensed and pronounced muscles all along his back, forearms, shoulders, torso, legs, and even had a six-pack, though all of that was needed in order to gain control over OFA, as a conditioned body is needed to use it without damage. He also grew a lot more handsome, or at least, that is what his grandma and 𝗕𝗁𝗎𝗄 told him. His face had a sharp jawline, no facial hair, as he shaved often, and little to no fat on his face. That coupled with his freckles and jawline made Izuku considered to be handsome. He wore a black and white butler suit as he was working out. You may ask why, and that is simple. Izuku likes the butler outfit because it is both fancy and comfy, and he made it breathable and workable too. Though he does have dozens of other clothes to pick from, he mostly uses this one most of the time. During his time in Tennessee, Izuku has mastered many skills. He completely fixed up the house he was living in, with it now having a working fridge, internet, roof, more solar panels, and fixed piping. Izuku also crafted a lot of custom-built furniture with chairs, benches, bed frames, couches, stools, and other home furnishings. Izuku also made quite a lot of farm space. He grew tomatoes, potatoes, cabbage, radishes, carrots, pears, peaches, apples, and oranges. Izuku had also hunted a lot of the animals of this mountain and has learned how to track footprints of almost any normal animal, and has had a very nutrient-rich diet. He also learned how to cook exceptionally well with all types of spices, seasonings, flavors, oils, and has memorized 140 recipes. As 𝗕𝗁𝗍𝗵𝗃, he managed to create a large network of businesses around America. It first started out as controlling and buying some stores from Apple and Samsung, then he went from selling items to fixing and selling better items with better quality. Then he funded hospitals, research centers, factories, and transportation. He made a multi-billion-dollar business network. As such, he was quite rich. Though unlike most companies, Izuku also paid each of his lower working employees a fair wage of $13 per hour as a bare minimum and gave them fair leave time, appropriate sick days, appropriate morning leave, holiday bonuses, and other such bonuses. He also made it a top goal to report overworking and personally paid for their medication if they so needed it with discounts. As such, he was highly respected and has been known to be one of the biggest company tycoons in the world. He has over 2 million workers under him and he pays them all exceptionally well. Izuku also managed to branch out upon other businesses like technology production, to energy production, to waste removal, to hospitals, to dentistry, to even transportation companies. He also branched out to other countries like Russia, Japan, Canada, and Mexico and started and funded business in order to make as much of a global economic system that he could. He's improved companies in every major cornerstone of the world. Izuku also got an incredibly well-off education. He had a PhD in quirkology, electrical engineering, aerospace engineering, software and hardware engineering, physics, mathematics, biochemistry, chemistry, biology, chemical engineering, computer science, biomedical engineering, and economics, all when he was 16. He graduated high school when he was 12, graduated college when he was 14, and finished grad school at 16. He was also completely debt-free, as he got a lot of scholarships all in just 4 years and got all the money that he needed. Izuku also used these PhDs to personally help his technological businesses and to better develop them and their research. He also managed to hire himself under 𝗕𝗁𝘁𝗵𝗆, and once he actually turned 20, he would have 𝗕𝗁𝘁𝗵𝗆 die in a helicopter crash and he'd write himself to inherit his companies. One thing he did as Izuku Shimura was become a martial arts champion in America, with 3 tours under his 24 black belts. He mastered 24 martial arts styles ranging from karate, kung fu, judo, taekwondo, and even pressure points. He used all these styles to secure his place as the martial arts champion in America 2 years in a row and then some. He has also mastered using a lot of weapons. He learned from ex-Marines, ex-military, swordsmen, knights, and even monks on how to use a lot of weapons. Mostly he uses swords, knives, gauntlets, brass knuckles, and guns, though he mostly uses pistols. Izuku also has been training his body and quirks extensively. While he was in America, he gained a multitude of quirks, though you may ask how he got them. Some of them he got from civilians, others from pro-heroes, and others he got from thugs and villains that he beat up. Yes, Izuku did become a vigilante in America, and quite a famous one at that. He used appearance change to create another identity, which was known as the Disaster. The reason why was because he used all of his quirks in such a way that most people when they arrive at the crime scene think that multiple natural disasters blew through. His quirks were Divine Flame. Izuku copied several flame quirks and evolved them before combining them into one quirk. The quirk allowed him to create and manipulate any type of fire he can think of, usually a pitch-black flame that he can make hotter than the sun and even burn other flames. Additionally, he can shape the flames into anything he wants. Izuku got each of these quirks from criminals. Heavenly Ice. Izuku copied 6 ice quirks and he evolved them before combining them into one. The quirk allows him to make and manipulate ice to whatever degree he sees fit, usually a purplish-pink ice that can freeze just about anything. Additionally, he can shape the ice into whatever he sees fit. Izuku got these quirks from criminals. Maelstrom. Izuku copied 5 lightning quirks and evolved them before he combined them into one quirk. Izuku can create and manipulate any type of electrical charge at any voltage or amp and use it in any way he sees fit. Izuku got these quirks from criminals. Tornado. Izuku copied 7 wind quirks and evolved all of them before combining them into one. Izuku can create and control any type of air from oxygen or carbon dioxide, and he can manipulate it in any way he sees fit, from controlling its speed, to controlling the rate it moves, to controlling its force and density, everything. He also uses this quirk to increase his flight speed. Izuku got these quirks from criminals. Hyper Regeneration. Izuku has copied 37 regeneration quirks and has evolved all of them before he combined them all into one quirk. Izuku can heal from any injury possible and heal in milliseconds. He can heal from being decapitated and lost limbs with no problem whatsoever. Izuku got these quirks from a mixture of criminals, civilians, and one hero. Armament. Izuku copied and upgraded 4 quirks that improve the body's or object's durability before he combined them into one quirk. With this quirk, Izuku can create a sheen of seemingly metal around any part of his body or entire body and also surround any weapon or object he might be holding. This causes his body or object to become harder than titanium. Izuku got 3 of these quirks from pro-heroes and the other from a civilian. Increased senses. Izuku copied and evolved 10 quirks that improved each of the 5 senses before he evolved them and combined them all into one. His eyesight can see things clearly up to 10 miles away, He can hear clearly without taking any hearing damage up to 5 miles away. He can smell things that smell odorless. He can feel vibrations in the ground, air, and water up to 3 miles away, and he can taste even the most faintest of tastes. Izuku got all of these from civilians. Energy manipulation. Izuku copied 8 energy quirks and evolved them before combining them into one. Izuku can create and manipulate any energy so long as it's pure energy and fire it in any way he can see fit. He can mostly use this to create shockwaves and other such forces, but he can also use this in conjunction with his other quirks to make them stronger. Izuku got 6 of them from criminals, 1 from a hero, and the other from a civilian. Appearance change. Izuku copied and evolved a spy's dream quirk. He can change his outfit and body appearance instantly. He used this quirk to start his business without any trouble at all as 𝗕𝗁𝗢𝗵𝗆. Additionally, this quirk allows him to create whatever clothes he wants so long as he can picture it in his head and take off the clothes before making another one. Izuku got this from a teenager thief. Restoration. A quirk that Izuku was allowed to copy from an old lady who he stopped from being hit by a car. Izuku can restore any non-living object to what it was before and essentially not have to replace any furniture or object. This does include dead bodies, though it won't bring them back from the dead, though Izuku can use this on trees and other plants just fine. Weapon creation. Izuku took this quirk from a villain before he evolved it to suit his needs. He can create any type of weapon that he can think of, from any type of gun, any type of sword, any type of staff. Any weapon that was created in the entire world, he can create as well. Though he mostly uses this to create knives, swords, and some pistols. Pocket Dimension. A quirk he was allowed to copy and improve. Its original owner allowed Izuku to copy it because Izuku saved his grandmother. Izuku with this quirk can store an unlimited amount of non-living things inside this dimension, but it can only store at most 10 living things inside of it. Izuku mostly uses this quirk to store all the weapons he's made or to store food or clothes or any other type of stuff that he wants to store. Additionally, the pocket dimension is without the rules of time and place. As such, he can put an avocado in there and let it stay there for an entire year, and if he puts it into the real world, then it will be as if it hasn't aged even a second. Resistance. Izuku copied and evolved 53 quirks that improved the body's durability and combined them all into one. This quirk gives Izuku a natural resistance against all forms of toxins, any temperature, improves his bones and blood vessels' durability, makes it to where his muscles won't deteriorate under any circumstances, and makes his body able to withstand hundreds of thousands of newtons of force. He can also resist physic and telekinetic powers and forces. This quirk came from 37 civilians, 10 criminals, and 6 heroes. Teleportation. Izuku copied this quirk from a hero in America with the hero's permission, and he evolved it as well. With this quirk, Izuku can attach an invisible marking to any place that he has made physical contact with, and teleport exactly where that mark whenever he wants. Additionally, he can do so an infinite number of times in rapid succession without getting tired at all. Fighting spirit. Izuku can see the fighting skills and power of anybody that he sees. He can see that the fighting power and skill as a large flame that varies in color from person to person. The larger the flame, the more fighting power and potential that person has, the more fluctuating it is, or the sharper the flame looks, the more skill and practice in fighting that person has. Izuku's fighting spirit is roughly the size of a medium-sized house and is fluctuating constantly as a sharp, dark green flame. Additionally, Izuku can project this fighting spirit out onto people in the surrounding area and cause them to feel his power and his strength at the max, which causes them to be intimidated or rethink fighting him. Izuku copied this quirk when he was in the fighting tournament from another contender. Enhanced superhuman physique. Izuku copied 30 strength-enhancing quirks, evolved all of them and combined them into one quirk. He also copied 28 speed-enhancing quirks, evolved each of them and combined them into one. Because of this, his speed can reach near light speed and his strength can pick up skyscrapers and his punches equal those of all mights when he was in his prime. He solved cases and resolved crime all across America, from stopping bank robberies, to stopping thugs, to even incredibly important crackdowns. He's busted 34 drag trading rings, 14 child 𝗵𝗃 rings, 26 human trafficking cases, 4 criminal syndicates, 59 cases of political corruption where he was instrumental to arresting politicians that were committing crimes and getting away from it, and his most memorable achievement was when he saved the President of America from a terrorist attack and his family, along with 230 other people. Because of this, even though he chose to leave his identity a secret, almost every American, no matter what ethnicity, political alignment, religion, or background, all respected him and held him in high regard. Most of the heroes of America also did the same too, as they all had a high amount of respect for him and wanted to meet him. Izuku had improved greatly with how he used and trained quirks. His Divine Flame quirk was trained to be able to become any shape he wanted, from simple constructs, to weapons, to even surrounding his weapons and parts of his body. He could make it able to surround his legs and fists to burn anything that he punched or kicked, without burning his hands or legs. He also developed a type of armor that he dubbed as Susanoo, where he makes an avatar of flames around himself to serve as a perfect offense and defense. His Heavenly Ice quirk was trained well. He could create any construct that he wanted, from complex designs of buildings, to unique shapes, to weapons, to even creating armor. Izuku managed to be able to control his ice's temperature too, as he could make it anywhere from 300 degrees Fahrenheit to 90 degrees Fahrenheit. Izuku also learned how to spread his ice over a large area incredibly fast, and can spread his ice at 60 miles per hour. Maelstrom was capable of making any type of amp and voltage of electricity and lightning that existed. Izuku learned how to control the amp and voltage rather quickly and can change them as fast as he can create lightning. He also uses it to surround his body parts with lightning to try and shock his opponent's nervous system. Additionally, he also learned how to run lightning and electricity through his weapon's tornado was also improved greatly. He could control the air around him and make any type of air, whether it was nitrogen, oxygen, carbon dioxide, methane, and other gases. He could control all of these too and use them to wrap around his weapons to give them an incredible boost in power and cutting power. He could launch blades of highly condensed wind and when they were at full power could slice clean through solid steel. He trained his regeneration quirk as well. He trained by doing as much damage to his body as possible and healing it as quick as possible. He would start with minor cuts, then bleeding wounds, then bullet wounds, then he'd go to full-on lost limbs. He can now regenerate his entire body from just a single drop of BLD, and he can heal lost limbs in just a half of a second. Armament was trained as well. Izuku could now surround all of his body in armament and he trained it to be stronger than titanium. He can also condense the armament to become even stronger than that, though he never got a chance to test it out. He also uses armament to go around his blades to increase their cutting power, sharpness, and durability. His increased senses were also heightened to an even finer point than before. Izuku could taste everything in the air, any difference in the water he drank, and could even tell when his food was poisoned, and tell you what type of poison was. His sense of touch improved to the point that he could feel vibrations and pinpoint exactly where they were coming from through air, liquids, and solids for more than 14 miles. His sense of smell also improved, as he learned to memorize hundreds of thousands of smells, along with being able to memorize certain people's smells. His sense of hearing also improved, as he could hear someone's flow of BLD from 20 miles away and without being sensitive to sound. His eyesight was in another league as well. He could see every color of the spectrum and would be able to name each of them, and he could see clearly through the night and could see things that were invisible. Energy manipulation was also trained extensively. He could produce thousands of times more energy that a nuclear power plant could and control all of it rather easily. He could launch energy attacks that could topple buildings rapid fire, and he developed a way that he wrapped his feet and hands with pure energy and use it to add a lot more raw power to his attacks. He can also create shock waves that can cause earthquakes with just his bare hands. He can send these shock waves just by swiping his hands, and these shock waves can be devastating. Restoration became evolved to a very nice degree. He could restore things of any size to prime condition in less than 5 seconds, and he could also restore things that were touching the object that he was touching. Because of this, he can restore an entire area to pristine condition in less than 20 seconds. His weapon-creating quirk also became second nature to him. He could create any weapon of any design in his hand in a split second. The weapons were also top-grade quality too, and could last for at least 5 years normally. His pocket dimension was also a quirk that he trained rather well. He mostly worked on creating portals of different sizes and forcefully improving the capacity of the pocket dimension. He could now make portals that allow him to send most vehicles through them and can store them in his pocket dimension pretty easily. He managed to train his body's resistance as well. He could stand temperatures of 100 million degrees Celsius, which was shown when one time he took a nuclear warhead and nuked Mars with it, while taking the blow. He can stand temperatures of 2 degrees Kelvin, which was shown when he actually survived in the vacuum of space. His body can naturally withstand forces comparable to 1 trillion newtons, and he can survive 100 times the Earth's gravity. His teleportation was trained to its limits as well. He could teleport anywhere in America due to the sheer number of marks that he left everywhere. He could also teleport hundreds of times in rapid succession and not feel tired from it. He could also leave the marks on living things as well, and he just recently learned that he could teleport other living things as well, though only 4 people at best, and it does drain him of more energy than normal. His fighting spirit quirk was also finally integrated into his fighting style. He could accurately tell someone's power and skill at just a glance and be able to see their weaknesses rather easily. He could decipher exactly what it is that person was fighting for as well. Recently, he was also able to exert his fighting spirit onto others around him, which caused lesser-willed people to pass out or faint from the sheer exertion of pressure. His enhanced superhuman physique was also trained to its fullest. Izuku could control exactly how much force that he was exerting and change it as well. His speed was exactly the exact same, though because of this, he could also control his reaction time, though at its best he could dodge light. Right now, Izuku was using his elemental quirks to create a new unique combo to try and do as much damage as fast as possible. The result was a completely destroyed section of the forest. Sighing to himself, Izuku activated restoration and brought back the forest to what it was before and decided to walk into his house. He has quite a lot of books stacked around the room, a few bladed weapons, and quite a few instruments here and there. Smiling at the house, Izuku quickly decided on what things to bring with him to Japan. In order to go there, he'd have to be able to hide the fact that he was ever in America. Which means that he'd have to stop it from being revealed. Quickly making a portal to his pocket dimension, he quickly threw in the items that he'd need to bring with him, which was mostly just his instruments, books, clothes, and some weapons that he left lying around. Another thing that Izuku has been doing is practicing musical instruments. He learned how to play a guitar, piano, drums, and bass very well, and has memorized 70 songs to play from. Izuku also earned a driving's license and motorcycle license. One of his favorite things to do is watch the sunset, as he truly feels that it is one of the most appealing things on earth. He also became an avid book reader and has read over 12,000 books, ranging from any topic, from school knowledge to random trivia. Izuku also took this time to use all tongue to learn every language he could, which was Spanish, Russian, Mandarin, English, German, Italian, French, Korean, Japanese, Arabic, Portuguese, Hindi, and Indonesian. He used the books around the room to accomplish that. Quickly leaving the house, Izuku smiled at it before he activated OFA, Tornado, FA Gene, and Fly, and quickly took off at the speed of Mach 15. He wouldn't need to worry about going back to there with a trip, as he left 10 teleportation marks all around the mountain, so he could go back there without even having to move. Izuku flew non-stop for about 35 minutes before he managed to disguise himself with smokescreen right above Tokyo. After he kept the cloud there for a bit and he scouted out the area with his senses, he spotted a place where he could land. He quickly managed to release the cloud and land right there, which was a small apartment building alleyway. Quickly going to a public restroom, Izuku managed to do his business and leave after he adopted a slightly different look. He now was in his 𝗕𝗁𝗙𝗵𝗃 persona. Quickly going around, he looked for a train station to get a ticket towards 𝗵𝘃𝗃 precinct. Izuku quickly paid for a ticket and boarded the train and waited around 10 minutes before the train started. After going all the way to 𝗵𝘃𝗃, which was around a full hour worth of a ride, Izuku finally departed the train and entered the streets of the city he once called home. After searching for a bit, he finally found an apartment building that he could use as his home. Quickly going into the apartment, Izuku bought the apartment building under Izuku Shimura's name. Even though he might be labeled as missing, it would be 𝗧𝗵𝗲𝗏, which he wasn't anymore. He also explained to the front desk lady that he was an employee of his from America, and that he wanted to personally pay for his rent. The front lady accepted it. Quickly paying for it in American dollars, the front lady accepted it but told him to trade it out for yen later, so Izuku agreed. Izuku was guided to his apartment room and noticed that he chose right. The apartment wasn't too fancy or too poor, it was just right. Living room and kitchen bedroom, but picture the walls covered with notes and ideas bedroom, but picture the walls covered with notes and ideas bedroom, but picture the walls covered with notes and ideas bathroom TV in living room. Izuku liked his apartment and thanked the lady before settling into the apartment. He set up his computer and connected it to the Wi-Fi and set up a few instruments, and set up his notes for studying and his room. He also set up some pots and pans and silverware that he stored in his pocket dimension. He also noticed that he'd need to go shopping soon in order to eat properly, and he needed to buy some more toothpaste, shampoo, conditioner, body wash, and deodorant. He set up a teleportation mark inside the room. Izuku walked down to the lower floor and told the front desk lady something. Izuku Shimura should be here in a while. Can you watch out for him and bring him to his room? I've already unloaded his stuff that he needed. He is tall and has green and black fluffy hair with green eyes and diamond-shaped freckles on his cheeks. Izuku asked while still in his 𝗕𝗁𝗢𝗏 disguise. The lady at the front desk nodded and told him to just give her the key, to which Izuku complied. After walking out the building, Izuku looked around for a store to buy groceries nearby and found one only 4 blocks away. After walking for a while and remembering the feeling of being back in Japan, Izuku finally made it. He got 1 month's worth of supply of food and water, along with his bathroom essentials. He stored them all in bags before he left to go to the restroom and quickly changed back into Izuku Shimura in there. After he walked back to his new home, he truly felt like he was about to be able to be himself. When he entered the building, the lady at the front desk noticed him and told him that his room had already been paid for and that she'd lead him to it. Izuku smiled and thanked her as she led him to his room and gave him the key. Izuku bowed in gratitude and entered his new home. Quickly putting away all his groceries, Izuku made his way to the living room to enjoy a book or two. Stepping out of her room was 𝗧𝗵𝗲𝗏. Over the past 16 years, she grew up a lot and was 5 feet 6 inches. She still had green hair and green eyes, though her hair now fell down slightly past her mid-back. She wore a white t-shirt with the kanji for t-shirt on the chest part and wore black shorts. Over the years, she grew up quite a bit from her younger years. Right now she had just finished 8th grade and managed to score top marks in all the exams. She also frequently worked out a lot, which was why under her clothes she had a bit of muscle under her skin. Though unfortunately, she did have quite a few setbacks. When she was 10, her parents revealed to her that they were both heroes, and that her father was the one and only All Might. That day made her incredibly happy then, though now she hates that very moment because it caused her to lose something that she was only trying to protect. Her brother, Izuku. Years ago, the day Izuku left, Izumi had just arrived at school and met up with her best friends, Shoto and Shoka Todoroki, and Katsuki and Katsumi Bakugou. They were all dressed in the school's main uniform and were talking in class while waiting for another person. Though by the time class started he still wasn't there. This slightly worried Izumi and her group, as Izuku had never once been late to class ever. She thought since her parents forgot to take him to school, maybe he overslept or was making breakfast. She thought that he'd show up late by the next PRD. Her friends had also thought the same. But by the end of the day, and there wasn't even a single sign of Izuku. He wasn't even in the hallways either. This worried the group even more than before, as Izuku had never skipped a day of school once in his entire life. Making their way out of the school, Katsuki finally spoke up about it. Where the hell is the nerd today? He's never skipped school in his entire life. He yelled. Maybe we beat him up a bit too hard yesterday and he was simply unable to get up. We should probably go check on him. Shoka suggested, though she did seem to not like that answer. Though everyone knew why, ever since they could remember, she had a crush on Izuku. That's not likely. We've beaten up Deku a lot more than we did yesterday and he's still gone to school. He must have finally gotten tired of it and just decided not to go for once. Katsumi said, though you could tell she didn't like that answer either, as she too had a crush on Izuku. We should do what my sister said and go check on him. Maybe he had some secret friend or something else to do that we just didn't know about. Shoto said as the group agreed and went back to Izumi's house. Entering the house, they were met with nobody there, which was expected. Izumi and Izuku's parents were out patrolling, though the fact that Izuku wasn't there only furthered their confusion. Izumi led the group upstairs to her room and went to the room that was the left of it to see if Izuku was in his room, though they weren't expecting what they saw. Instead of a room full of All Might and other hero posters and figurines, they were met with a completely barren room, with absolutely nothing in it. Now everyone was even more confused. This was Izuku's room. It has been since he was 4. If this wasn't his room, then what room was his? But then where is Izuku's room? Izumi asked out loud since this was the place she thought her brother would be in since they were both 4. The group all separated and tried searching the house to try and find where it is he slept. They checked the guest bedroom, all the closets, all the other rooms too. The only ones left unchecked was the basement and attic. Izumi led the group down to the basement and opened the door to find something that shocked the group. It was dark, only the light coming from a window that led outside letting light inside, and a small lamp in the center of the room that was turned off. The floor was made of concrete and nothing sanitary by the looks of it. In the right corner of the room was a single small mattress that was dirty and worn out, as it had many stains and no sheets, though none of them noticed the note laying on top of it. To the left of it was a small run-down desk with nothing but bandages and first aid kits, though under it was a stack of notebooks that each of them recognized as his notebooks that had details about heroes and quirks. To the left of that was a set of dumbbells and a workout magazine that had ripped out pages. On the left was a run-down and definitely dirty wall with a message that was in dried BLD that said, "Keep going Izuku." And just under that message was a note that said, "I can't anymore. Not after my own family and friends abandoned me." This was not what they were expecting at all. Izuku was a fanboy. He had to have had at least a couple of hero posters of figurines. This didn't look like a room that belonged to a kid. It looked even worse than some prison cells. It was dirty, dusty, and practically exerted a sense of dullness from it. Making their way out the room, they all sat down at the living room and decided to wait for Izuku to come home. They waited patiently for 3 whole hours. They heard the door open and were all happy to see Izuku when it was only revealed to be 𝗵𝗃 and All Might, coming home from work. "Hello there, future heroes. Are you all ready to begin training?" All Might yelled with a smile as 𝗵𝗃 nodded as well. The group shifted uncomfortably before Shoka spoke up. "Uncle Toshi and 𝗵𝗃, have either of you seen Izuku at all today? We didn't see him at school and we're worried for him." Shoka said as she chose not to mention the basement. Is this Izuku a friend of yours? If so, I'd be happy to help." 𝗵𝗃 asked and offered, which caused the group to sweat and worry even more. Mom, we're talking about my brother, Izuku. You know, my quirkless elder brother that looks exactly like me. And he always fanboys about heroes." Izumi asked as 𝗵𝗃 and All Might were both stumped. They supposedly had a son. So what? Couldn't they remember anything about him? All Might dropped to his knees suddenly as he remembered the boy earlier that day, sneaking around in the kitchen while getting breakfast. Why ya princess? He was getting breakfast the last time I saw him, though he left to his room shortly after. He probably just had trouble getting up to go to school. It's fine. All Might answered as he slowly started smiling again, though 𝗵𝗃 was quiet still and tried to think as she slowly started remembering her son from when before he was quirkless and started tearing up at the realization. We'll all talk to him once he comes back home from wherever he is. 𝗵𝗃 said as she choked back tears and sat on the couch. And so, the group of now 7 waited for a total of 2 hours while they waited in dead silence and became increasingly worried about Izuku. We should check his room to see if he left a note explaining where he went, Then we'll all go look for him. All Might said as he got tired of waiting, and he and 𝗵𝗃 went up the stairs but were stopped by Izumi. Mom? Dad? Izuku's room isn't upstairs. It's in the basement, she said as All Might and 𝗵𝗃 both looked at each other in shock at that revelation. Their son was living in their basement, and they didn't even know where his room was. The group all made their way into the basement, and the two parents were shocked at what they saw. It looked like the room hadn't been cleaned in forever, and it was so dead and dull that it wasn't humane for a child to be even near. This is my baby boy's room, 𝗵𝗃 asked out loud in shock and horror as it dawned on her that she had neglected her only son. All Might was no better, as he was getting flashbacks from his past, where his 𝗵𝗃 parents left him in an orphanage and he was abused and tossed around in the foster system. They searched around until they found a small note on the bed. Izumi's group, not noticing it the first time, all walked over to it to see what it was. It read, "To whoever is reading this, I am surprised you're even reading this at all, since my sister and her friends only remember me because they use me as a practice dummy for their quirks. I imagine that it's you all reading this after 2 weeks of celebrating not having to see me at school. Since my dad, or should I say All Might, and my mother, or should I say Green Tornado, have neglected me for 6 years since it was revealed that I was quirkless. They haven't given me a single present, hug, conversation, or even acknowledgement of my very existence since I was announced quirkless. Anyways, yes, I was listening to your conversation. Not only that, but I learned that my own father was also quirkless, just like me, and yet he still ignored me despite going through similar mistreatment. And instead of giving me a chance to become a hero, you give a quirk that would have helped me become a hero to someone who already had the power to become a hero. You gave your quirk to someone who tried to completely crush my dream every day for the last 6 years, simply because she had a quirk. Additionally, you didn't even consider me an option at all. Hell, you forgot you had a son in the first place, and instead considered 2 assholes who did nothing but abuse me, bully me, and beat me up with their quirks for the past 6 years as your sons. You considered people that made my life hell as your real children, instead of your actual one. And 𝗵𝗃 is just the same. She doesn't even remember that she had a son in the first place. The second Izumi got her quirk, I didn't even get a chance to become a hero. I want you all to know this. Toshinori Yagi, I don't consider you as my father, I hate your guts, and you'll never be a father to me, and you'll never be my hero. 𝗵𝗃 Yagi, I despise you entirely, you are not my mother, and you'll never be my family again. Izumi Yagi, you are not my sister, and I hope that One for All somehow rejects you entirely. Katsuki Bakugou, I used to consider you my brother and rival, but now, I want absolutely nothing to do with you. We aren't friends, rivals, enemies, we are nothing. Katsumi Bakugou, I considered you my sister and someone I could tell anything to, but you're just like your brother. I hate you and everything about you, but I want nothing to do with you. Shoto Todoroki, I considered you my brother and best friend. I was there for you when your parents were fighting and I still liked you even though you were always stoic. But now, I hate you and I want nothing more than to never look at you again. Shoka Todoroki, I've got to get this off my chest. I have always had a crush on you. You were so pretty, even with your scar you made my heart beat fast. Your quirk was amazing, and your personality was sweet and stoic just like Shoto. But after I became quirkless, I saw you for what you really are, a lowlife, selfish but bitch. Know that I will never fall in love with you, nor will I ever trust you even in the slightest. I am running away from this hellhole and I pray to whatever gods there is that I never see any of you again. Sincerely, Izuku. By the time they all finished reading the note, everyone was in shambles. Shoka and Katsumi were crying, as they forced their crush to run away and despise them. Izumi was breaking down as her own brother essentially didn't even recognize her as family. Katsuki and Shoto were both crying tears as they caused someone that they looked to as a brother to leave. All Might was on his knees crying and sobbing nonstop, as he literally left his son to the wolves and didn't even remember him, despite himself going through the exact same thing. 𝗵𝗃 was by far the worst though, as she was crying, sobbing, and hiccuping while grabbing her head trying to process what she had done. She abandoned her only son for something as stupid as a quirk. All Might got off his knees and turned towards the group of now crying kids and yelled out with fury. What were you thinking when you decided to use your quirks on my son? The group flinched as they had never heard their uncle yell anything with such rage and anger. We only wanted to stop Izuku from becoming a hero. We decided to use our quirks on him to make him afraid of quirks and stop him from trying to be a hero. Izumi shouted while crying. Izuku, I didn't mean to do it. I love you too, please just come back. Shoka shouted as she fell to the floor while begging for Izuku to come back, as she wanted Izuku to take her back and return her feelings. Deku, I'm sorry, Katsuki said quietly as his tears spilled on the floor. Even after you helped me, I still betrayed you. I'm sorry, brother. I promise, you and my sister will be married and heroes together. Shoto whispered while crying and looking down. Izuku, please come back to me. I won't ever turn against you ever again. I love you and I'll make up for everything. Katsumi yelled while crying for her crush to come back to her. Wait, both of you are in love with my baby boy. Inko asked while yelling as she didn't expect two of her surrogate nieces to actually be in love with her son. Izumi, I won't give 𝗲𝗲 to you. In fact, none of you will inherit it. When I find Izuku, I'll give it to him and help him become a hero. From this day onward, I won't help any of you. I used to consider you as family but not anymore. All Might screamed at them while crying. Flashback over, current day. Ever since then, things have gone downhill, and are only recently starting to look good for them. First, the group of friends didn't want anything to do with each other, and they blamed each person for being responsible for Izuku running away. But after a year they all accepted that they were all equally responsible for him running away. Though one important thing that did happen was All Might's deteriorating health. All Might revealed the full past of 𝗲𝗄 to everyone and had his final fight with 𝗲𝗏 about 5 years ago. He won, but half of his respiratory system was in shambles and his digestive system was for the most part destroyed. Yet even still, All Might kept 𝗲𝗏 and has been holding on to it in order to pass it on to Izuku and make him into his successor. He even denied his former sidekick, Sir Night-Eye, from helping him find a successor, saying that his only successor was his son. Ever since then, the group of friends snapped out of their funk and started training and looking for Izuku. They were all ready to try and earn his forgiveness. Katsuki and Katsumi both calmed down significantly, though they still were rude to people they weren't friends with and mostly chose to simply ignore people. Shoto and Shoka became withdrawn even more so than before, and they both vowed that they'd never use their fire side again to hurt people, even though their father and mother both wanted them to keep training with it. Izumi became focused solely on schoolwork and training, and for the past 6 years she stopped even talking to anyone outside of her friend circle and family. The school that they used to go to was investigated by All Might after he tried his hardest to find out just how much he was bullied. This resulted in many teachers and even the principal to be fired for looking the other way, and a lot of students that took part in the bullying were all given anger management and quirk counseling. Inko had it the worst out of all the group. For 2 months straight she stopped working in general and mostly was inside the basement while reading Izuku's notebooks. They were the only thing they had left that was physical proof that Izuku had wanted to become a hero, and she treasured them as if though it was the only thing she had left of him. After 2 months though, she started working again and talking to people, but she refused to explain why she was acting different. She talked frequently with Rei and Mitsuki, the mothers of her nieces and people she considered to be as sisters, and she learned a lot from Rei. Izuku would visit Rei a lot and she, on multiple occasions, was the person that fixed Izuku's wounds and cooked him dinner. Apparently, Fuyumi, Natsuo, and Tuya all did as well, and they all thought of Izuku as their younger brother. After 4 months she started talking to Izumi and her friends again. Though it's clear that she favored Shoka and Katsumi more though, simply because she thought of both of them as if they were her daughters-in-law. She became a little bit obsessed with Shoka and Katsumi both loving her son, so much so that she started planning on marrying both of them to Izuku the second they found him. She began to look at them as if though they were the only things that would make Izuku have a happy life, and as such she wanted them to help Izuku so as to help her feel like she played a part in Izuku's future and happiness. After a while, All Might too began to slowly favor them as well and wanted them to marry Izuku and be there with him as heroes. Katsuki, Shoto, Shoka, Katsumi, and Izumi have all become absorbed in training and studying. They all became determined to become heroes at UA and to search for Izuku along the way, and to get him back home. Katsuki and Katsumi trained their quirks to become more efficient in other specialties aside from combat. They both could now use explosions to blind their enemies, and they both used it to enhance their speed and even be able to fly. Of the two though, Katsumi did have slightly stronger explosions and was faster. They both matured quite a bit and were both sought after at school because of it. Shoto and Shoka improved as well, though only on their usage of ice. Shoto and Shoka improved as well, though only on their usage of ice. They were both able to create and make massive constructs of ice, and they both had power with it. They also trained in creating specific shapes as well, though Shoto never truly picked up on it, which led to Shoka becoming the stronger sibling. Shoto and Shoka both grew up quite a bit though, and were both considered to be good-looking. Izumi trained her body to better handle the backlash of her quirk, which in turn caused her body to become quite resilient. Izumi trained her body to better handle the backlash of her quirk, which in turn caused her body to become quite resilient. She could move things as heavy as a house with only slight difficulty, though she did struggle at holding more than one thing with her quirk. As such, she still has a long way to go. Though she did try and talk to All Might about One for All, and asked if she could temporarily take it and just give it to Izuku once they found him. Though All Might simply refused, saying that in order to fit her to give OFA, she'd have to have mastered it, which may get in the way of giving it to Izuku. All Might has been slowly getting weaker and weaker as the days go on, and because of it has started to become less and less active. He was only able to use OFA at 100% for around 4 hours a day, and because of it, has had a bit of trouble staying at the top of the hero rankings. Just 2 months ago, Endeavor surpassed him just barely in the statistics of stopping accidents, and Endeavor was always number 2 in popularity rankings. Additionally, his strength has started to deteriorate as well, and because of that his physical strength and speed weren't even half of what they had used to be. Inko has managed to move up her place as the number 3 hero and has been working harder than ever. She made sure that all of the heroes in the country had known about her son missing and told them about what he looked like. She also did missions all across the country in even some of the most remote and desolate places, and she still had no luck of finding him. She begged the rest of the Hero Society to keep looking for him, but even after 6 years of constant search parties, there was no such luck. Their family and their friends had experienced an irreversible disaster. Izuku's apartment. Next day Izuku woke up with a start from his dreamland and started off the day on a fairly good note. The bed was a lot more comfortable than the one that he had in Tennessee, which was to be expected though. Izuku got up and made some breakfast before going through his morning routines, like brushing his teeth, doing deodorant, and taking a shower. After that, he went to his living room before he started making a detailed plan on what he wanted to do. He has 3 months before the UA entrance exam, which means that he has these 3 months to do business in Japan and settle himself back into Japan. His business network in America didn't need him to actually be there, as he could just send emails out to all of his board of directors and they'd pass the info and command down the chain. He'd only need to contact them once every month to see the well-being of his workers and to give them a different goal or task. He needed a business network in Japan. Yes, he did have some foreign businesses in Japan, like a hospital in Hosu, and a restaurant food chain that recently became popular, but that was really it. Besides, he did give all of his companies equal attention in all of the countries he had them in, but it would be better if he created more businesses in general so he could fully give people jobs while making sure that he could create a good amount of profit for himself. So he needed a plan to get more businesses in Japan other than just the conventional hospital and restaurant chain. Not that he couldn't make businesses in them, it was just better if he created and bought businesses of different variety and purposes. It was best to offer jobs of all types of varieties of people, that way he could give unemployed people chances to live while working in society, while also giving people with a higher education to be able to use that education for good use. One of the biggest businesses in Japan, however, was the hero business. Izuku wanted to fund and create a self-serving hero business. The way heroes get paid is that the government has a certain amount of money that they distribute to the hero committee, which they then distribute to the heroes that work under them, though every hero in the committee does get paid a living amount of wages that are decided by their popularity, their strength, and their contributions. As such, the amount of money that gets earned by heroes is all depending on them. But heroes that create agencies sometimes have different workings, where they each work under one important higher-ranking hero and they get paid by them in order to market themselves and get a higher wage, while also working for commercial agencies that have contracts with that agency. As such, it was a good option to create commercial businesses while funding certain hero agencies in order to create contracts with and fund in order to create money. Izuku thought up of some good options as they were all heroes, their top-ranking heroes, but there were some problems. All Might and Green Tornado were completely off the table. Endeavor was too, since he'd just tell them, and plus, Izuku just didn't like him. Rabbit Hero. Mirko wasn't in an agency and she doesn't do commercials. Wing Hero. Hawks doesn't care for them and also doesn't have an agency. The Laundry Hero. Wash had enough marketing deals with laundry product companies. Ninja Hero. Ed-Shot doesn't do commercials either, though he could fund his agency. Fiber Hero. Best Jeanist had his own agency and clothing company that he ran. The only hero that he could do was Dragoon Hero, Ryukyu, and Shield Hero, Crust. Both were open to do commercials, though Crust only did sponsorships for workout equipment, and he only did so if he knew that the equipment was top grade, so Izuku would need to buy a business that did that if he wanted to work with him, but Ryukyu was open and to his knowledge hadn't made any long-term or important business deals. Izuku decided to make Ryukyu his main partnership, and settled for having up-and-coming heroes like Kamui Woods and 𝗵𝗃 Lady work with him as well. After he set up that plan, the next step was to make the offer, so he called Ryukyu's agency and managed to schedule an appointment with her 2 days from now and said that Izuku Shimura would be there. Now that he had that set up, all he needed to do was figure out what he wanted to do for these 2 days. He figured he could probably make sure his companies were running better before he decided to go buy a few spaces and set up a few new stores. He also needed to visit the Hero Committee HQ in order to settle something. Meanwhile, at the Yagi household, Izumi had just gotten up and decided that it was time to increase her training. She got ready for the day and made her way downstairs to see her friends and all their parents in the living room. She decided to enter into the conversation, which happened to be centered around her brother. I'll allow Izuku to marry Shoka. However, he better have awakened this oh so great quirk you say he has. Endeavor said while glaring at All Might. He put all of his life into succeeding All Might and he still failed, so the only way he'd surpass him is if his children or grandchildren did. He was hoping to marry Shoto to Izumi, but All Might said no because he said that she didn't have romantic feelings toward anyone yet. Yet he didn't want Izuku to marry Shoka because he was quirkless. He didn't want weak grandchildren, but apparently All Might told him that his son did have a quirk, and that it was just awakened later in life. I still don't know. I want Katsumi to be happy, but are you sure that Izuku will want to be with her? He did say that he wanted nothing to do with any of us, so what happens if he already found someone that he fell in love with? Masaru asked as everyone gave it thought, though not seriousness. Izuku will love me. He said so in his letter that he was always in love with me, so all I need to do is reignite that love and he'll be mine. I know he'll be mine, even Auntie Inko says so. Shoka said with certainty. I know that I can make him fall for me, after all, I've got the old hag's good body, so I know I can at least attract his attention. Besides, he said that he loved me as a sister, so all I need to do is show him that I love him as a partner. Katsumi replied while looking at her dad. I'm sure my brat can make my nephew fall in love with her. The thing I'm most concerned about is how you'll both share him. Having a loving and caring boyfriend like Izuku is great and all, but how are you going to share him? No offense to Izuku, but are you sure he'll be able to satisfy everything you need? Mitsuki asked while worried about her daughter. Mom, I walked into Izuku changing once. If he has endurance, then he can handle both of us. Besides, it's not like SEC is actually that important in a relationship. Katsumi said while blushing at the memory in 5th grade. Besides, I think of Katsumi as a sister, so we'll both not have too many fights unless one of us gets more attention from our husband. And besides, we can both have him at the same time. Shoka answered while also blushing at what Katsumi had said. I'm most worried about what you two ignored from Masaru's question. What happens if he already is in a relationship with someone else? What are you going to do then? Ray asked, hoping that they'd just leave him alone. That won't happen. These two are the only ones that can make my baby truly happy. If he is in a relationship with someone who stole him, then me and Toshi will say that we only approve of him marrying Shoka and Katsumi. We may not have been a good part of his life, but he will still listen to us. We are his parents after all. Besides, I know for a fact that these two will truly give both me and Toshi a significant part of Izuku's happiness. And if the would-be girlfriend refuses, then I'll just force her to break up with him. Inko said confidently while getting slightly upset that her friends are starting to doubt her baby boy. I agree with Inko. Izuku can make your daughters happy and they can make him happy. It's a perfect marriage. Besides, as the boy's father, it is my duty to make sure that he stays loyal to his future wives. Your daughters will be with my son. All Might said, reassuring the parents. Though the other kids in the room also threw in their opinions. The nerd is perfect for my sister. She'd make him happy and keep him in line, and he'd make sure she stays safe. The nerd will accept her too once we all apologize to him. The nerd's too loving and forgiving not to. Katsuki said with a small smirk at the thought. I agree. Ever since I can remember, Shoka was in love with Izuku, and he had a crush on her. Meaning that he did have feelings for her and probably still does, just buried. I wouldn't accept anyone else as my brother-in-law because I know how much he means to my sister. Shoto said with a small smile while thinking of his sister and brother smiling together. Okay, fine, we'll let you get married to him. But I still don't know if he'll actually be able to fall in love with again after what you did to him. Ray said while concerned for both Izuku and her daughter. My brother will accept them after we all apologize. Since I'm his sister, I can tell him that they've been saving themselves for him. Once he hears that, he'll know that they were all meant to be together. I'll convince him to be with them. After all, it's a sister's job to make sure her elder brother's girlfriends are all right, and I definitely approve of them. Izumi said, catching everyone's attention. Though it did somewhat surprise them that she was listening. All right then, we'll sign the DMN papers. Endeavor yelled as he, Masaru, Mitsuki, Ray, Inko, and Toshinori all signed the documents, causing the kids to smile and celebrate. Meanwhile, with Izuku on his way to the Hero Committee, Izuku was walking down the street when he stopped suddenly and shivered as he felt something annoying was going to happen to him in the future. Why do I think that has something to do with my tormentors? Izuku asked to himself as he kept walking. He made it to the building and was told that he couldn't carry any weapons, to which Izuku agreed and didn't keep any and allowed the guard to scan him for medals. After he got in, he immediately made his way up the building and found the president, who was busy with paperwork. Without much warning, Izuku opened the doors and caught her attention. Excuse me, I think you have the wrong room. I'm the committee president of security, and if you want to speak with me, then you need to schedule an appointment. The president said as she started to slightly glare at him. Though Izuku merely smiled a bit before fully entering. Forgive me, MDM President, I simply wanted to speak with you urgently and wanted this appointment to be off the record. Don't worry though, I won't borrow more than a minute of your time. Izuku said while still smiling. Suddenly he opened a portal by holding his palm out and seemingly pushing the air, and out of his palm was a dark blue portal. He then used his speed quirks to appear behind the president and grabbed her hands behind her back. Don't worry, I promise to you that I won't harm you. In fact, I'm here to do the exact opposite. Don't worry, all I wish to do is gain your trust and gain a sort of partnership with you. Izuku said with sincereness as the president reluctantly agreed and went through the portal, with him right behind her. The portal appears to have led to an endless space of nothing but a starry sky, and the ground was a shimmering transparent blue crystal. Through the crystals though, underneath her she could see an organized armory filled with weapons of all sorts. To the left of her was a table with hot tea, and to the right of her was a ginormous shelf of books. To her though, the setting was quite nice to talk in. After Izuku came into the portal, she was startled slightly when he spoke. This place is my pocket dimension, and in here, time has stopped in the outside world. When we get back, it will appear as if though time hasn't even passed a single second. I simply brought you into here to explain everything and tell you about everything you want to know. So please, sit down and enjoy some tea. Izuku said as he sat down at the table after pulling her chair out. She felt slightly better now, though not by much, and sat down. Now then, allow me to properly introduce myself. I am Izuku Shimura, and I am the biological son of 𝗓𝗏 and the grandson of Nana Shimura, the former #1 hero. Additionally, I have an improved version of 𝗓𝗏's quirk, and I want to be a hero. Izuku listed off as the president stood up while glaring at him. 𝗓𝗏 didn't have any children. The hero committee made sure of that. And even then, if you are his son, why should I trust anything that you say? She screamed at him due to what she thought was a lie. It's alright, I'll explain everything. You are correct, 𝗓𝗏 was never able to properly have a son because he was pretending to be someone else. That someone was Hisashi Midoriya, though funnily enough his real name is Hisashi Shigaraki. Anyway, the reason why you should trust me is because ever since I could remember, I've wanted to become a hero, the strongest hero this world has ever seen, and to save and help people everywhere. You may not believe that, but I've went through hell and back just for that goal. Since you are the president and essentially the authority figure to heroes, and since I'll become one later in life, it is best if you and I have a better partnership than just subordinate and boss. I wish to help you in any way that I see fit, so let me ease your worries, ask me any question and I'll answer it. Izuku explained to her as she calmed down slightly. Very well then, let me ask you this. How many quirks do you have, and how many of them have you stolen? She asked while glaring. So far I haven't stolen any quirks, though I have permanently copied a lot of quirks that I've lost count. Though I did combine a lot of quirks and I have copied and combined a grand total 16 quirks so far, though in my possession I actually have 22, well, technically 23, but still. Izuku answered. Okay then, how are you connected to Nana Shimura? She asked. Like I said, she is my biological grandmother from my mother's side. My mother was Inko Shimura, now Yagi. You may also know her as Green Tornado, though I personally don't look at her as my mother. Izuku said while slightly scowling at Inko. And why is that? The president asked, wondering why someone wouldn't want a top-ranking hero as a parent. At the age of 4, I was misdiagnosed as quirkless, and because of that, both she and my stepfather all might have done nothing but ignore and neglect me. My own sister and her friends abused me as well, so I ran away. The president was going to call him a liar, but she stopped after remembering that Inko asked her to keep heroes looking for her son after he ran away. And yet when she asked her why he ran away, she always refused to answer. Okay then. What is it you are trying to get by coming to me of all people? What do you want from me? She asked while wondering why he needed her. I asked that you grant me a business deal where one of my bosses, 𝗧𝗵𝗲, can help the committee out and share some of the profit. Additionally, I want you to grant me a hero license so I can keep up heroing without being illegal. And if it isn't too much trouble, can you change the documents to say that you granted me it when I was 10? Izuku said and asked while bowing. What do you mean you kept up hero work? Were you a vigilante? She asked. Yes, you see, after I turned 10, I ran away to America and have been there for the last 6 years. While I was there, I got my education and managed to become a vigilante. You may have heard of the vigilante that saved the president, Disaster. That was me. Izuku said. Say okay, I can set up and give you an international hero license, but I'd need to talk to the president of America's Hero Committee if I wanted to make that official. Then you'd be said to be an undercover hero to help out America, and we can say that it was a plan that me and the president agreed with. She said while remembering to give the other hero president a call. Thank you very much. That is really all I came to ask you about. Is there any other questions? Izuku asked while glad that he could finally become a hero. Not at the moment, but know that if you show behavior of your biological dad, then me and you will have problems. This world isn't ready for another 𝗓𝗏 as a villain, but they might be ready for one as a hero. She said. Great. If you want to, you can leave right now, or you can stay longer if you want. After all, the time of the real world hasn't even moved slightly. Izuku said and offered. No, let's go back. I have paperwork that I need to finish. she said as Izuku agreed and created the portal and they walked through together. When they got back, he was right. The plane that was going over the building was still exactly how it was before, and the coffee on her desk was still as hot as it was before, despite around 5 minutes passing. "That's some quirk you have." She complimented Izuku while he simply smiled at her. "Okay then, I'm going to go now, but when you mail me my license, send it to this address," he said as he handed her a paper of his apartment and his room number. "All right then. If that is all, then you're dismissed. By the way, refer to me as MDM from now on, understand?" she said sternly. "Yes ma'am MDM," he said with a bow as he teleported back to his apartment. The hero president rubbed her temples and sighed loudly. "Why did I take this job when I'm 52? She asked tiredly as she could feel a migraine coming up.